Yo, what's up everybody, it's Jake Gordon again. Welcome back to another video. This video we're going to go over the top 5 mistakes I can see everybody's going to make in 2021. Is if you're brand new to Shopify Dropshipping, I'm going to go over the 5 biggest mistakes. The reason you're going to watch this is literally because I don't want you guys to make these 5 mistakes. It's going to save you a bunch of money, but the most important thing, dudes, it's going to save you a bunch of time, which is, way more important than money. So if you watch this video, you guys are going to, literally cut out all the bullshit, cut out everything you guys that people like me made back in like 2017, 2016. Also, what I'm doing and what we're doing is we're launching a new thing. If you guys are doing Google Shopping ads, I'm seeing a lot of people still get suspended, and yeah, it's becoming an absolute nightmare for, some people trying to, make this a full-time gig, and it is kind of annoying that Google are suspending all these brand new accounts. Still, is your guys' fault. You guys are still doing some of it wrong. Some of the stores I've seen, not really good. So pretty much what we're doing is, if you can't get an account for the life of you approved, book a call. You'll speak with me directly, but don't book the call if you're, if the money doesn't make sense. That is the price. It might be some steep for some people, but we've got to go and do this manually, right? So all you really need to do, we'll explain it on the call with me anyways, is have a store ready to go. Now the store cannot be old, right? So the store cannot be suspended. So if you've just been suspended for that account, do a brand new store, just put in your details, and that's it. Just leave it for us to do. So we'll do it, and we'll figure out, when's the best time you want it approved for. We'll hand it back to you. You'll book another call with me, and we'll arrange it all. And that's it. Super simple. There's no fluff. Like I said, if we can't do it, you'll get your money. So number 1, you don't have any plan or where to start. Now this is super important. Like, where are you going to be choosing your products? Where are you going to be sourcing your products? Are you going to be using AliExpress? Please fucking don't. By the way, do not use AliExpress. I'll just give you a quick tip there. Do not use AliExpress. But obviously you need to have an idea where you're going to be sourcing from. Because, you can make sales and all that kind of good stuff, run ads, but let's say you can't source the thing, or let's say you've not took the time to figure out how to source it. Guess what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to fulfill, and you're just going to do a refund. So that's the most super annoying thing. If you don't take the time to do kind of the basic stuff and have your suppliers ready when sales are coming in, you're going to have to refund, and there's nothing worse than getting your first sale and just refunding it because you didn't take the time to do that. And also another thing is, what ad strategy you're going to be doing, because if you think you're going to scale to 100k a month or 6 figures, whatever you guys want to call it, it's not going to happen without an ad strategy. Facebook, YouTube, Google, TikTok. It's not going to happen without ads. You're not Kelly Jenner, so you're not going to be able to just make organic posts on Facebook. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Also, other stuff, are you going to just continue to keep dropshipping, which is absolutely fine? I do that in some of my stores. Are you going to transition into bulk buying and get cheaper cost of goods, which is going to make your profit margins way better? It's also going to make delivery times way better if you do it right with a fulfillment center, or are you going to ship it to yourself? Yada, yada, yada. What are you going to be doing? You're going to keep doing the pump and dump strategy of just keep rinsing stores and repeat, which I'm doing. It works super well, and I love to do it on most of my stores just because it's super, super easy right now. Or are you going to build a long-term brand, which I suggest you guys probably think about doing? I'm probably not going to be doing it. I'm thinking about maybe doing it at one of my stores, but probably not. I just like the pump and dump method. Or are you going to be selling your store, building it and then exiting? I like that strategy too. Build a nice, 3 to 6 months kind of store, make it super, super profitable, and then sell it. Super easy, and then just chill on the beach, buy Bitcoin. I don't know. But you need to be choosing what one you want to do, because you can't just think you're going to drop ship forever. Like I said, you maybe can, but there's going to be, you're going to want to transition to get to the next kind of level. So it's really important that you guys start thinking about it. Not asking you to marry the idea of any of them, but you want to have it in the back of your mind, so when that time comes, you're going to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do in phase 2. Number 2 is going to be know your numbers. Fuck's sake, I cannot stress this enough. And I've been super harsh to people that have all these $10 margins, $8 margins, and that I'm going to take it back, but it's kind of my fault because I've not really explained it. Well, I have explained it, but I've not really maybe explained it to the best of my ability. So I'm going to take back all the harsh words I've said about people, doing $10 margins, and I'm just going to explain it like one last time, but make it super easy for you guys to understand. Because the truth is, when I first started, I thought you could get away with a $5 margin, but when you do the numbers in your head, it doesn't make sense. Because the truth is, for you guys, you've got to factor in, your ads. Okay, so your cost per conversion, so you got to make the thing profitable with ads, because we've already established you need to use ads for 99.999% of you guys. Cost of goods, so you got to factor in how much the product's costing you, and then factor in the profit, what you're going to be selling it at. Refund rate, you're going to have about a 1 to 3% refund rate. Just accept it. So it's just going to happen. It's normal. Even big, proper, legit stores, like Amazon, like all these other big stores, like Walmart for you guys in the USA, the guys are getting refunds. So usually 1 to 3% is what we like to shoot for. If you can get 1%, great. 3% is maybe going to be higher on stuff like electronics, stuff that'll break easily. It's just normal, right? But you got to factor that in. Merchant fees. So you're probably using Shopify Pay at the start. They're like 2.6% plus 20 pence for UK and pretty much everybody else for taking in a single order. So you got to factor in those merchant fees. And obviously tax and VAT. Like you got to factor in all this stuff because $5 margin now, it doesn't sound so pretty, so it doesn't make sense. You're going to be in the red pretty much all the time. Well, this might sound scary to you guys and it can be overwhelming, but it's really just as simple as picking a minimum margin. So if I'm selling a cheap item and I'm maybe sourcing it for £10, £20 is going to be my spread. So I'm at least selling that for $29.99 minimum, or I'm not going to list it. If I can sell it for that, for example, Google Ads, and I'm seeing people sell it well cheaper, they're going to be getting it cheaper, or they're just not going to be, they're going to be bouncing off that product pretty fast because it's not going to be profitable. So for cheap items, I recommend sticking to a £20 margin. But if you start to go into like high ticket items, let's say if you're selling like, I don't know, high ticket mattresses for maybe like 2K, beds and all that kind of stuff like that, massage chairs, I've seen them for like 2K and people run ads, they're not going to have a £20 minimum margin. That's just going to completely not make sense. They're already in a loss. You might have to have like 50% extra, on top of that of spread. Maybe you're selling that for 3 to 4K at least for it to make sense. And it can be done for sure, but you're going to have to put all this in place with ads, cost of goods, refund rates, merchant fees, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to make sure it all makes sense before you even list the thing, because if you list it and the margins don't make sense, you could get a super high conversion rate, but you're still in the red. So super, super important. Number 3 is literally getting butt fucked by fucking customers. Refund rates. Super, super, super important that you do not get destroyed by customers. And you guys will, but you have to go through you have to go through that when you're starting out in new stores and for a product you're not really sure about. But you can definitely minimize the damage and get out of there and get testing with a new product if that product doesn't make sense. Now this can really happen on 2 things. So number 1 is, let's say, the delivery time is like 3 weeks. So it doesn't really, make sense. But you can still definitely scale with 3-week delivery. Just keep in mind we're in 2021 and you're going to get a bunch of emails if shit is taking 21 days. It's just normal, right? They don't, if I order something off your store, I'm going to be emailing you within the first week if it doesn't come, to be 100% honest with you. So all you need to do is just handle me super, super well. So if you ain't on top of your, email customer service, and especially if you're starting out, you're probably going to be doing the whole thing by yourself, which is what, most people do. You're going to have to make sure you're replying and good fucking English, because I see people's replies. People have showed me what they're replying to some customers in my course. They can't fucking type a sentence, man. So they're exactly like me. So you got to make sure that you're actually taking your time and actually replying in a timely manner, but it's also making sense. Because I promise you, if you can just do that, you can still scale with a 3-week delivery. Not ideal, not recommended, but you can get away with it. But if you're not replying, you're going to get screwed. So like I said, this is why I don't do emails personally, ever, never have. Basically once I started scaling, I was like, okay, I need to outsource this. But when you're starting out and you don't have a lot of cash flow, you're going to need to do it yourself. And I recommend doing it for yourself, because then you can teach other people how to do it. So all you need to do is just literally get yourself in, start replying, have a time schedule, and that's it. Once you're super, super profitable, whatever that number is for you, you outsource it. You give it to your girlfriend, you give it to your dog, probably types better English than you, but all you need to do is just reply. Super, super simple. And really the next kind of reason for this is your product fucking sucks. It's that simple. So this happened to me recently on a store. The watch that we were scaling, it just fucking sucked. It wasn't as advertised from our supplier. It just was fucking shit. So guess what? We just discontinued the product. If you can't fix it, don't get me wrong, we tried to fix it. We tried to add some features, take some features out that we listed that we thought were there. But most of the time you just move on to the next product. Who cares? There's a billion out there. So you just move on. And it is hard to admit that, because product might be doing super well on the front end with the ads, it might be super profitable, but on the back end, if you're getting a bunch of refunds and chargebacks, get rid of the product, move on. It's that simple. So these are the 2 things where you can really get fucking raped by customers. The real number 4 is not testing. So really this comes into 2 kind of things. Number 1 is you're just not testing enough. So now it's a scary thing to come to any sort of ad platform with a limited budget, because you almost treat those dollars like you can't lose them. You just want to hold on to every single dollar you have. And I was there when I was still working a 9 to 5 and still testing it out on the side. But you can't treat it like that. You do want to be like careful with your money and where you're putting these dollars for your ads. But if you're just being super, super cautious, cutting up stuff like way too early and not giving it enough time to test, you're just never going to get there. So you got to test, but you can't expect to play with big fish that are spending, tens of thousands a day, letting them, product spend. So you got to let the product spend is really what I'm saying. But on the flip side of that, do not spend past the margin. That's my rule of thumb. So if a product spends past the margin, especially in Google Ads, Google Shopping Ads as well, it's getting cut. I'm moving on to the next product. I've already got loads of products tested in a campaign ideally, so it doesn't really matter. So there's both sides to it. And it also comes down to like mental ability, right? I could have quit like so many times, but you got to be not afraid to fail, right? We fail in everything that we do. Like anything that you've ever done in your life, guarantee you failed at. But if you stuck at it, you got better and you mastered it. So if you're not afraid to fail, and allocate a monthly budget to whatever you're going to spend in ads and just be content with that, you'll get there. It's so easy because you'll get there 100%. But if you jump around testing different things and not spending enough on a product, like maybe spending a couple of bucks and thinking, the product doesn't work, you're never going to get there. You're going to be watching videos like this for the rest of your life, or you're just going to fucking, work, which is nothing wrong with. But if you want to do dropshipping, which is probably why you're watching this video, you got to be smart. You got to be testing, and obviously all the other points that we talked about. You got to be super smart. Last thing, which is probably the most important, but nobody really talks about, is cash flow. Cash flow can be difficult to understand for somebody that's coming from like a job or just in school or whatever, because if you think about it, you're working a 9 to 5 job and you just get paid like a monthly salary or a weekly salary, whenever that may be, and that's it. So you don't really understand cash flow. It's the guys that are paying you that really understand cash flow, or technically the guys way above. But for you, you're on yourself, right? Ideally at the start. So you need to understand how cash flow works. This is why it's super important. I recommend you guys not to quit your jobs if you're doing 9 to 5. Don't quit too early. Wait until you're consistently making at least 3x your monthly wage. And you might be thinking, Jake, I'll be fucking, that's too much. Like, if I can just make my monthly wage, ideal, I'll quit. Do not quit, man, because you can easily be wiped out. If you're making 3x your, monthly wage, you only need to work 4 months and then you can quit. You've made your full year. If you're making 3x that, think about it, it's just maths. But what you need to understand is how to delegate that money. So do not go out and buy stupid stuff. Keep reinvesting, because guess what? That product you are testing right now, it's probably going to die, 2 months, 6 months, might last a year, which is fucking awesome, but you never know when that product's going to die. So if you're constantly testing, finding more products, guess what? That 3x you're making, you can take that to 10x, 20x your monthly wage just by finding other winning products. And then you can go out and buy that fucking Lamborghini. Do what you want. But don't be that guy that fucking makes his monthly income, then quits his job and then, gives his middle finger to his boss. And then he's fucking asking McDonald's for a job the next week. Do not be that guy. Hope you guys got some value, dudes, and I'll see you in the next one.